Hello, everyone. My name is Ole Kagan, and I'm the Community Engagement Coordinator with LA County Library, and I welcome you to Work Ready, in-depth tour of Google Slides. And now I would like to tell you about the Work Ready program. Work Ready started in December of 2020 with the purpose of helping people get a job, improve their work situation, and plan a more sustainable career path. We're doing that in two ways. One, we lend out laptops and Wi-Fi hotspots for 6-week loans out of 27 library locations, breaking down one barrier to applying for jobs and getting online training. And number two is we provide virtual events just like this one on a range of work-related topics, from the basics like resumes, cover letters, interviews, to deep dives into various careers, soft skills, and other subjects that can help you succeed at work. And over 50 of those past classes are on our YouTube channel in the Work and Career playlist. I'm going to post a link to that in the chat right now. So if you want to check out our past classes, you can absolutely do that. We also have a great event coming up for you next week, which I'd like to tell you about, and that is Work Ready, the Art of Mindful Decision Making. Siri El Gutierrez will show you practical tools guided by neuroscience, positive psychology, coaching, and more to improve your decision-making skills and overall well-being before your next career jump. Very helpful for both job seekers and folks already on the job. I'm going to post a link to that right now. So if you would like to learn more about LA County Library programs, you can do that by going to our website, lacountylibrary.org. On the top right-hand side, you click the events button, and that'll show you all of our events, in person and virtual, out of 85 library locations for kids, teens, adults, older adults, all, of course, absolutely free. And if you're only interested in virtual events like this one, then you can hover over that events button and a little drop down will come up. Click virtual programming and you can see all of our Zoom events. Same thing for all ages, all free. And let me go ahead and put a link to our virtual programming in the chat for you as well if you want to see what we have coming up on Zoom in the next month or so. Okay. Now we're ready for today's program. Work Ready, in-depth tour of Google Slides. And I, Ole Kagan, will be your presenter for today. Google Slides is, of course, Google's version of PowerPoint. Microsoft's presentation program has been the standard for presentations for a fairly long time, for decades. And over the last 10 or slightly more than 10 years, Google has, with their Office suite, improved and improved, and has been taking over, to a certain extent, some of what Microsoft had in the bag. So now more and more people are using Google Slides at work. So I mentioned presentations, but what is Google Slides for? Well, like I said, number one, it's to present information in usually a business setting, but not exclusively. So it's like you have a slide deck, just like you had transparencies in the past, or a projector in the past, and you show slides with various information. Some people also use Google Slides as a canvas for their ideas, because as you'll see, you can do a lot on each individual slide. It's a little bit more freeform than, say, Microsoft Word, Google Docs, where it's word processing. You're supposed to type letters, etc. With Google Slides, you can create flowcharts, you can put images, you can create collages. So if you want to create art, you can do that. I've created memes using Google Slides, but if you just like to brainstorm visually, you can also do that using Google Slides. So the interesting thing about Google Slides compared to Google Docs or Google Sheets is that it's really two different elements of presentation here. So I'm going to primarily be talking about the features of Google Slides with a little bit of insight on public speaking and presentation. So I'll give you some tips about how to use Google Slides effectively, something that's very important since the whole purpose of it is to communicate information to people. The first part of the presentation, probably about 45 minutes, maybe a little bit less, I'm going to be just going through what Google Slides looks like. So we've got the Google Drive page shared with you on the screen right now. And I'm going to bring up the window of creating what looks like when you create a new Google document. We'll go over everything on the screen, and then I'll show you how some of it works and give you some presentation tips with an example presentation, which is the one we're going to be working with today is Squiggly Co's State of the Company Address, delivered by CEO Boogie Adams. So I created a fake presentation that will be delivered at the Squiggly Co State of the Company, that will be delivered at their staff retreat. So something that you might at some point actually do. So before we get going though, I'm interested in how much experience you out there have with Microsoft PowerPoint or Google Slides, and what you're most interested in learning today. There are currently 75 people with me today. And so if you could place in the chat how much you know about Google Slides, a lot, a little, nothing at all, and what you're most interested in learning. David put very little experience. That's good. After today, you'll feel a lot more experienced. I see a few more people have put basics. Veronica uses PowerPoint and Prezi. Prezi is another interesting presentation platform. Looks like somebody a decently experienced in PowerPoint, but no experience Google Slides. So somebody's interested in learning design options or templates. We'll definitely be covering that. That's one of a nice feature of Google Slides and fairly easy to use. So I see some people have intermediate experience. Some people have almost no experience, or there's a lot of people out there who have experience with PowerPoint, but have no experience with Google Slides. I think that you folks who have experience with PowerPoint will find that transitioning to Google Slides is very easy. PowerPoint has a ton of features, and Google Slides has some of the similar features, but their layout is relatively similar, so you're not actually going to be lost very much. You'll find that Google Slides brings the best features of PowerPoint into your browser. So let me see what else we have here. So perhaps in the Q&A, we can talk about how to actually present the slides on a projector or a laptop, because there's a few different details that might be interesting about that. So if you have questions about that, by all means, put them in the Q&A. If you want to put them in the Q&A now, you can do that. No need to wait. All right, so let me just, sorry, I needed to clear my throat for a moment there and didn't want you to be subject to the rude sound. All right, so let us get into Google Slides. So as I mentioned before, Google Slides lives within the Google suite of Office documents, some people call it Google Workspace. And the basic hub of that is where we are now on the screen, and that is Google Drive, drive.google.com. So if you have a Google account, which is free, you are able to go into Google Drive. You have 15 gigabytes of storage, as you can see right here on the left side. I'm only using 9.5 megabytes. So I'm using like this much of my storage because I've created this essentially for my presentations here. So you have access to different Google suite options. So Google Docs, just like Microsoft Word, Google Sheets, which is like Excel, it's spreadsheet software. We've got Google Forms. So if you want to create survey forms, you can do that. And then there's obviously other options. Google has a whole bunch of different apps, but these are the most popular and most used for office productivity. So we're not going to be doing Docs today. We're not going to be doing Sheets today. We're going to be doing Google Slides. Looks like Leslie had a question in the chat. Can you insert a video as a slide as part of Google Slides presentation? You can't insert a video as a slide, but you can put a video on a slide, and I will show you how to do that moving forward. So we've got here is Google Drive. You can also go to slides.google.com, and that'll take you only to your slides. So this is the wrong account here. So here is just Google Slides. So Google Drive is your hub for everything. Slides.google.com, or it goes to docs.google.com/presentations, just a redirect. It only has your slides presentations. I prefer to live in Drive just because everything is in there. And as you can see, I've created a sample slides presentation and a squiggly co-state of company presentation. And the way I did that was I would just went to new, and I would click on Google Slides, and it would open something like this. So this is what the presentation looks like when you open it. It's essentially blank. You see one slide and you see a format. And here is where the magic begins. Sorry, I just posted a chat to the wrong person. Okay, so let's start at the very top of this page, and we'll go through all of what you see here. And hopefully by the end of that, you'll be very comfortable with at least looking and knowing where things are. And then we'll start to use them, and it'll repeat and hopefully get something a little bit more kind of inculcated in your head about how to use Google Slides. I know I always have to do things multiple times in order to learn them. And the nice thing about Google Slides, as well as the rest of the Google app, is that the features exist in multiple places. So I will be showing you how, for instance, if you want to create, if you want to you can do that in many places. You can rename a file in many ways. So what you'll learn is, as you use Google Slides, you'll figure out the way that it's convenient for you to use. So starting at the beginning, here's Google Slides icon. If you click it, it'll take you to Google Slides home, back to here. So we're going to go back to our presentation. Here's the name of the presentation. Changing the name of it is as easy as clicking it. So now I've changed it to Sample Slide 01. I'm going to change it back. Just a simple right click. This star here is like a little flag that brings it up in my Drive, or in Google Drive here, so it's easy to find. So as you can see here, if I have this star, and I tap it, it might take a moment to do, but if I have right here, I have very few documents. But if I had hundreds, thousands of documents, even finding that one presentation would require either that I type, whatever the name of it is. But if I don't want to type the name of it and have to search through a whole bunch of results, I would just click on Starred, and here it is. So I'm going to take off the Starred. And then here is, if I want to move this document within my Google Drive, I can do that. So if I wanted to put in personal finance, or if I wanted to put it in staff retreat, I can do that. I'm actually not going to do it with this presentation, but the other presentation, the sample of this speech, I might switch that to staff retreat, because that's where all the squiggly co staff retreat documents are. So moving is very easy. You just select where you want to go and you click move here. And if you want to create a new folder for your stuff, you can create a new folder. and it'll come up here and it'll save your document in a new folder. So what you might have noticed is that everything that happens within Google Workspace happens within the browser. So nothing happens on your desktop, nothing, you're not opening anything but the browser on your computer. And so that means when I say it moves somewhere, it saves, everything's being saved in the cloud. So it's on Google's servers, and then you access it through your browser. Now, people have asked, can I save my Google Slides? Can I save my other Google documents off the browser? And the answer is yes, but it's a little complicated. So you can save things by exporting it. And I go to File, Download. Download means you're moving it from the browser or from the Google server onto your computer. You can export Google Slide documents in various ways, as PDF files, as PowerPoint files, as JPEGs. JPEG is an image file. That'll just be this one slide. As it is, it'll be pretty much blank. Or as an SVG also, it's an image file. You can also use Google Slides if you're offline, but you have to set that up through Google Drive, and it's not something that is within the scope of this class, but it is possible to do. So if you're not always connected to the internet, or if your internet connection is spotty, that's not a problem. You can use Google Docs outside, or Google Workspace, let's say outside of being connected to the internet. You'll still be within your browser, but it'll just update the Google server, your files in Google server, when you connect back to the internet. So back to here. So we've got move. And speaking of being in the cloud, you can see the document status. So all changes are saved to Drive. So you don't have to worry about clicking save, 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 save. Google Docs, Google Drive, Google Workspace saves everything for you as you do it. And then you could always go back to different versions of your document, or take it back if you went down the wrong path with the design of your slides, for example. You could say, oh no, how do I undo this? It's not a big deal. It's very easy to undo, and I'll show you how to go back to different versions separately. Somebody mentioned, Eduardo asks, is slides convertible to PowerPoint and vice versa? Yes, it is. Slides and PowerPoint, except for some very complex features in PowerPoint, random transitions. Yes, they usually work together fairly well. So here's is document not ready for offline use. If you want to use it offline, turn this on, and it'll kind of save it within your browser, and you'll be able to access it even if you're offline. So that's what this cloud does. Moving over to the right-hand side here, the last time I edited this document was yesterday at 2:54. If I click on that, it shows that version history that I was talking about. So as you can see, this doesn't have a version history because I haven't done anything with this document. But when I go to my other document, the Squiggly Co presentation, and I click on the version history, you can see that I mostly worked on this a few days ago and yesterday. So you can see all the different versions of it that I can go back to. And there's quite a lot because this presentation has 12 slides. So a lot has happened in that presentation. But I think for some people, it's important to feel like nothing you do is set in stone. You can always go back. You can always undo, redo. So don't worry about messing up your presentation because it's always being saved. All right, here we have open comment history. So a few of the things here, a few of the options within all of the Google workspace are for collaboration. So it's intended for you to work on this with other people if you want to. So that's what the comment history is for. So there's no comments here, but if I wanted to leave a comment, so I'm going to the title of the presentation. Just go simple. And I'm gonna leave that misspelling, and I'm gonna right click and click comment. Fix spelling. So if somebody else was looking at this, so if I was working on this document with you, then you could go into the document and you could see, oh, Oleg left a comment, fix spelling. Okay, I'll have to fix that. So I'm going to fix the spelling, and then I'm going to hit mark as resolved. Done. And if you're the owner of the presentation, then you'll actually get emails notifying you that somebody has made comments. So a friend of mine shared a Google Doc with me yesterday, and she wanted me to look at it and brainstorm on it. And so I left her a few comments, and then she responded to the comments within the document. Then I went back and we had a little conversation within the document. So it's convenient to do if you want to brainstorm a presentation or edit a presentation. You don't actually have to do any of the editing. You can just leave a comment so whoever is in charge of the document can do the editing. And that's what this here is for, the comment history. So if you want to see past comments, we can open that and you can see that I had just talked to myself about fixing spelling, and I actually did it and I resolved this. And if I want to unresolve it, I can reopen this if in fact this is not the spelling representation. So moving forward, here is join a call. Similarly, for collaboration, if I wanted to talk to somebody, one of my colleagues or friends who is working on this presentation with me, we can work on this presentation while having a synchronous conversation through voice or video. So we can do that right away, start a new meeting, and it'll start a meeting. So you'll see, it'll just be like you're talking to me right now, and we'll be working on this presentation together. So what is Google Slides for? Of course, it's a presentation app. And so what we have here is Start Slideshow, or Control F5 is the keyboard shortcut. I think it's actually the same for Microsoft PowerPoint. So we have a few options here. So if we want to just do the presentation, we start from the beginning. And you can see that this is the presentation that is, when this all it is just one slide and the slide says title of presentation. So I'm going to push escape, exit full screen. And then there's also something called presenter view, which I'm going to see if Zoom will let me share the presenter view with you so you can see what the presenter view actually looks like. So let's see what it shows you. It may not show you the present. No, yeah, so you see the actual presentation. What I see something a little different, and I'm going to take a screenshot right now so you'll be able to see it. So you see just a slide, and I actually see. I'm gonna take that image and I'm going to exit the presentation. So I'm going to do. Let me see, it went to full screen here. Okay, so we're back here, Google Slides, and title of presentation. And so here's what so I'm going to create a new slide, and I'm going to paste that image of what it looked like, my screen looked like a second ago when I clicked presenter view. So as you can see here, it was actually, so I'm going to do slideshow, and I had this box open for me. So what I saw was the slides that were coming up. So slide title presentation. Here, there would have been other slides. And then whatever speaker notes I had, and we'll be talking about speaker notes in a moment. My speaker notes would have been here. So it's as if I was at a lectern and I had my notes and I could see what's coming up. It's very convenient for doing presentations. I use presenter view fairly often. Of course, for this presentation, I'm just speaking to you live and doing a live demonstration, so I don't have presenter notes. I'm just speaking without notes this time. For folks who need to leave this presentation early, this is, by the way, being recorded, and you'll get a video link to this presentation by email either later this week or early next week. So don't worry if you miss something or you want to review. So if I wanted to get the presenter view, we can go back here and go to slideshow, click the little down arrow and click presenter view. And what that'll do is, for me, it'll show me this box right here. And everybody else, so the audience, will just see the presentation. So you'll just see this. And it's convenient because I know what I'm seeing is useful information for me, and what you're seeing is just the presentation. So moving forward, so this is what's here. And if we want to present it on other screens, if you want to share this on a monitor or something, and there's a connection, a streaming connection, then you can do that through present on another screen. Share is another a way to collaborate with people. So if I wanted to share this presentation with everybody in this room, I could do that. In fact, I'm going to do it right now. So right now, it's only shared with me. I'm the only one who has access to this. I'm the only one who can see this. But if I wanted to share it with all 83 people in this session, I can share it to anyone with a link. And I have options. I can either leave you as a viewer, so you can just go in and see the presentation, but you can't do anything with it. You can just look at it. I can let you have comment access, so you can comment on the presentation just like I had shown you a moment ago. You'll be able to make comments on various aspects of it, but you can't actually make any edits. Or I can give you full access. You can be an editor, you can leave comments, you can do whatever you want, except perhaps delete the presentation. So I can share to anyone with a link. Anyone with a link will be able to be an editor. So I'm going to just do viewer, and then I'm going to copy link. I'm going to post it in the chat. And now if you click on that, you'll be able to go into the presentation and basically just view it as I edit it. So if you don't want to watch me share the screen, hey, look, people are coming in, and it doesn't tell me who's coming in because most people don't have accounts here, but it gives me like anonymous duck, anonymous dumbo octopus, anonymous leopard. So there's currently 12 people who are on our Zoom here. Also just click the link and are in here and can view this presentation. That's actually increasing. Now it's 14 people, 15 people. So that's great. So it's that easy to share a Google slide presentation with people who just want to view it. All right. And then of course, here is access to my Google account. It's called Oleg's Light Shop. I have some lights here as the profile picture. I have the county account, and we can switch accounts using this box here. All right, let's move on to the menu bars here. And there's so much here. This is going to be the main part of this kind of tour. And I'm not going to go through every item here because then we'd be here for 3 hours and nobody has time for that. Although desire maybe, just not time. So let's go through some of the basics of file, edit, view, insert, format, etc. So if we go to file, we can see you create a new file, open a new document, import slides. So if somebody had asked if it's possible to import slides from a PowerPoint document that's on your computer, and the answer is yes. You can import slides and then select either recent documents, upload from your computer to here, and it can be a PowerPoint file. Here, if you have something else in My Drive, you can do that, or something that's shared with you as well. We've got make a copy of this entire presentation of selected slides, and that copy will exist within your Google Drive in case you want to fork your presentation and have 2 different versions of it. You can make a copy easily. Share here is actually the same as share right here. So I mentioned many things are in multiple places within the Google Workspace. Share is one of those things. We've got share in a few places. You can email this file to people. You can download it. Again, symbols. Import slides is bring slides onto the server here, into your Google Drive. Download is bring slides to your computer. And you can do it into various files. You can rename this file, again, similar to clicking here. You can move it, all the same kind of stuff, and the icons are the same as all this right here. There's a trash can. You can put the file in the trash, so it's out of sight, out of mind. Google Drive will eventually delete the items in the trash. But if you realize the next day that you've made a mistake, you say, oh no, and you could put a glove on and take it out of the trash. Or if you're brave, just use your bare hand. The version history, mentioned that already. We saw that before, but it's also here. Make available offline. Again, that's like the little cloud here. Turn on to make available offline. And then page setup, print preview, and print are very interesting because this is, of course, a presentation that's meant to be delivered. But if we want to use Google Slides as just our canvas, we want to be artists or people who are brainstorming, just get your ideas out here. You can make this page, you can make each slide as big as you want. So right now it's just a standard widescreen kind of view, but if I want to do custom and I want to make it like, I don't know, 30 inches by 30 inches, something that I'm never going to print, I'm never going to show on a screen. Here it is, it's 30 by 30, and you can see my ruler bar keeps it by inch. And so I can zoom in and zoom out here and have a lot of, click the zoom button, if I zoom in, zoom in, zoom in, but in fact, there's a whole lot of extra space here. So 90 degrees is, or 90% is a lot different from 200%, right? I need to zoom way in. I want to fit, that's going to be way smaller. So this slide is actually really big, and I can put a lot of different stuff on this slide. So, and we can navigate it, it can be this slide can be our canvas in any way we want. Let's switch the page setup back to 16 by 9, which is nice for most modern monitors. So what that was 28% what I had before. So I'm just going to do fit, so we can see the whole screen here. Would you import a slide as an example? Sure. So somebody had asked in the chat, would I import a slide as an example? Oh yeah, I can import a slide from another presentation. Import slides. So here's import import all the slides. So if I wanted to import the ones from Squiggly Co, it would import the whole thing. I'll do it and then I'll undo it. So it's importing. So here are the different slides. Maybe I just want to import one slide. How about the table of contents? Keep original theme. No, I want it to have the theme that I have here. Okay, there it is. So it got rid of the theme that I had on the other presentation because I unchecked it, and I imported the speaker notes down here at the bottom and all of the from the image, the formatting on the image. I have a little drop shadow here, the specific stars for the bullet list that I selected. It did not import the fonts because I didn't want it to import the theme. So it didn't, it just imported some of the basic stuff. So here's, that would be an example of importing. So moving in, so we've got print preview. If you wanted to print this presentation, we could do that. And there's a few different ways. One, you could print just the slides as they are, page by page. You can also, you can also print a handout with, for instance, if I had 9 slides per page, I could do 9. So it would do it like this. So I can do it in landscape, or I can do it in portrait mode. And so if you were delivering a presentation and you wanted the people in the audience to have a copy of your presentation, but not, 9 pages or whatever, if your presentation is like 50 slides, not 50 slides, not all 50 slides printed out in individual sheets, you could do something like this, 9 slides per page, and then divide, and you have, 6 pages or something that they'll get instead of, and they'll look something like this. And if you want to give them a chance to put notes, they can also include skipped slides. We don't have skipped slides. We can also do one slide with notes. So that'll change. So here that's each individual slide, and there's some space for notes. And I know that PowerPoint has the option of giving you slides, all the slides on the left-hand side of the screen. And so here's what I mean. So if you want to do 9 slides per page, it's going to take up the whole page. If you want to do 3, maybe 4 slides per page, then that'll give you, and it's in portrait mode. So this 4 slides we only have 3 in the presentation. It gave you some space for notes here. And sometimes that's what you want to do if you want to give people a chance to make notes on your presentation. All right, so that's print preview. And print, of course, is just the same dialog as you usually get. You can select what you want to print, how many pages, etc. Edit is really simple in Google Slides. It's basically the similar options that you get in the rest of the workspace and no more. So you can undo and redo. I mentioned the version history. This is kind of a mini version of that bigger version history. You can undo and redo the last few items that you did. So if I wanted to, for example, remove the word mission here and remove the S in achievement because the company only had 1 achievement. And then, oh no, that's a mistake. The company had many achievements. I can go to undo. So I clicked it right here, or I can hit Control-Z on the keyboard, or I can do it here. I did undo here. So what that did is it undid importing the slide, and I use that as an example. But if I said, no, I want that, I want to keep I want that slide back, so I'm going to redo, and it'll bring that slide back. So again, no worries about making a mistake within Google Slides. You can undo and redo. Everything that you do is saved. Cut, copy, paste without formatting, standard computer options. If you cut, Control C, or edit, cut, it'll snip it from somewhere. And if you want to put it on this page, edit, paste. Oh, doesn't work here. It has to be integrated. So I'm going to just push. I'm going to do edit and paste. Oh, why doesn't it let me paste? Control V. There, I push Control V. So it pasted, but it pasted without the format. I think I can do it a different way. There's a little drop down here. Keep source formatting. There we go. So the source would have been this slide, and this is the way it looked on this slide. I'm going to bring it back there. I'm going to hit undo and undo, 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 and undo. Bring it back to our main slide here. Okay, so that's most of edit. I like to use paste without formatting if I'm getting it from somewhere else, because sometimes you get all kinds of weird text formatting if you're copying text, and paste without formatting allows you to get its basic elements onto the page, and then you can do whatever edits you want. Select all, selects everything on the page. Add, delete, we know what that is. Duplicate is make a copy. Find and replace is convenient if you have a large presentation and you want to replace all instances of a certain word or phrase with another one. You can find and replace, and you can either do it individually or you can use them all at once. View also repeats some of the items we've had. So this lets you see the various aspects of the screen. So slideshow we've already done. Motion I'm going to show you later. That's how you make the transitions between slides and make some of these elements, images, or text boxes move. Fun, but not that useful in actual presentations because it's often distracting from your actual message. Theme builder, I'll also show you a little bit later, but I'll give you a quick peek right now. So every presentation has a theme. Usually what Google Slides starts with is a default theme. This is the most basic one. It's just a white screen, and you get to choose from various types of slides. So this is the most basic theme that you can have. This is the master slide. So this will control every other slide, but if you want your list, so this is the main layout we have. This is this first slide. Anytime we create a new slide, we can select one of these. And if there's a certain type of layout that we want, we can create our own. So if I wanted to, for instance, if I wanted to do a big percentage, a big number in the thing, and I don't like that it's 129, or I don't like that it's Arial, I can change this to caveat. And now I can exit that. And if I want to do new slide, I can do layout and select this one. And there's that font that I had just changed it to. So you can also change the background using the theme. You can change the background. You can change all sorts of things within your presentation and apply it to all the slides. And you can also select various themes. So Google Slides has different options. They're not bad. I mean, it depends on what you're interested in. It's really easy to change your theme. So this one is the main slide is black, and the other ones are all white with this line on the bottom. They're pretty, themes are maybe not incredibly beautiful, but they're not bad. So you can pretty easily create a professional looking presentation using Google Slides. Somebody Eric asked, are themes like templates? Themes are like templates, yes. So moving forward to view, so that's the theme builder, and we'll get back to that with an example presentation. If you're a very design-oriented person, or you just like to see what you have overall, you can do the grid view, which lets you see all the slides at once. Click back here, down at the bottom. You can toggle back here at the bottom, or you can do it in view. So again, many ways to do the same thing. You can do grid view either here or down at the bottom. Show ruler, that the ruler is this right here. Most people don't really need that actually, because it's not like you're looking at it's 1 inch from the side. Most people just eyeball that. Remove the ruler, add the ruler back. I like guides. I don't use the guides though. I'd rather have guides are basically lines that you can create to guide where you put things in your presentation. You can move the guides, you can add other guides, all fine, and you can snap to, so you can have a grid. You can actually snap to a grid on the screen. Where is my grid? I wanted to actually have I didn't want this one. I actually wanted something slightly different, but in any case, you can create as many guides as you want, and you can have your images snapped or your text snapped to the guide, so that it's easier to have everything lined up properly. So if we're going to do snap to guides, I'm going to move this around, nothing happens, but if I move it over here, it'll automatically snap to the guide. There. So when I put the edge of the text box over the guide, it turns red. You can see it did it right over here. It turned red, and that said that it was right on it. So it's not, I don't have to spend a lot of time looking for how to make it exactly centered or right in the middle of the screen. There it goes. Move it up here. So it's right just slightly above this line. All right, so let's remove our guides. Don't show guides. Also guides. Edit guides. You can see how many guides you want to have. You can edit it. You can do it manually, or you can do it like that and just arrange it by space. All right, show speaker notes. That's this. Show film strip. That's this on the left-hand side here. Show comments. That's if people are commenting on your presentation, you can remove them or show them. It's currently showing everything. If I remove speaker notes, if I like to have a really simple screen when I'm creating, I can just remove everything, and I can even remove that. So now my screen is super simple, plain, and easy, and I can use my mouse wheel to go to different slides. So it depends on your creative needs. If you need it to have the screen to be minimalistic, you can make that happen for yourself. Zoom menu, we had already done some zooming earlier, but you can zoom at different lengths, zoom in or out, and then full screen. Of course, that makes your browser full screen. Insert is where a lot of the magic happens. Somebody asked earlier about demonstrating inserting an image. I'll be happy to do that. I'm going to delete this. So no matter if you create a layout in your slide, you can also just remove whatever you have in your layout and create it all over again and not worry about it at all. I'm going to insert an image right now. There are various options for inserting images. I can get an image from my computer. I can search the web for an image. I can get images from my Google Drive, from my Google Photos. If I have a web address or a URL for an image, I can also use that. I wonder what camera will do. So let me allow to use my camera. So I have this camera. I don't know, it's in use right now for Zoom, so it may not actually let me. It may not actually let me use it. But if I had a camera connected to my computer and I wasn't using it for Zoom, I could also just take a picture of myself going and put it in the presentation. Instead, I'm going to just search the web. So it'll search Google Images for you. So if I wanted to have a turtle in my presentation and press enter, and there's various turtle options. I don't like clip art. Here's a presentation tip. Don't use clip art unless your whole presentation is the same kind of clip art. Clip art looks messy and unprofessional, especially if it's not made specifically for you. I like to use real images. There are a few websites that I use to get royalty-free images. You can also just grab them from here. I'm going to use this. I've selected this turtle image, insert, and here it is. Makes it kind of big. I'm going to make it a little smaller. I'm going to put it in the middle of my screen. So as you can see, by default, when I try to find the middle of my screen, these red lines come up. I'm going to let go of the mouse, and now my image is right in the middle of my screen. So that's inserting images. You can insert a text box. A text box just comes in by default. I can make it whatever size I want, this size, and hello, hello. I just type that in. When I click on the text, this box appears. This box is very big, but the actual text, but it disappears when I click off of it. I'm going to make this smaller. So when I click off of it, it just disappears. So whatever item I select, that's the item that's going to be shown here. So these little boxes allow me to change the size of the image. This little circle on top allows me to spin it around. So now I have a turtle that's upside down. I would rather have a turtle that's right side up. So conveniently, you can see by that little check, or by that little cross there, it gives me the degrees to which I've turned it, which is a convenient feature. So right now it's 0 degrees, so it's exactly right side up. Again, here, same thing. I can change the size of the text box. I can spin it around. Maybe I'll just do something like that, leave it a little bit at an angle, and put it right next to the turtle. So the turtle is saying, hello, hello. So that's text box. Audio, same kind of thing. You can import it from your Google Drive, from your computer. This just takes audio files. Video, similar. I'm going to show you because somebody had asked about it earlier. Let's change the layout of the slide because I don't want all this complication. Blank. Insert video. And again, it gives me options. I can search YouTube. Again, I can easily insert a YouTube video, or I can grab one from Google Drive. I don't have any videos in my Google Drive, so there's no point in doing that, but I will. Let's do turtle baby. I don't know if there's an actual name for baby turtles. There might be a separate name. Baby turtle update. Perfect. That's what I want. No, baby turtles first steps from the BBC. I click on that. It's selected automatically. I hit insert. And here's my turtle video. So there's various options that you can do, presentation options. So it depends on what your presentation looks like. Make it big so we can all see. There's the turtle video. So it gives you the example of the video. You can watch it here. You can start at different places. So if I wanted to start it somewhere else, I'm going to go over here and I can just start at like 212. So a lot depends on the content of your presentation. If you only want to show a small portion of video, Google makes it easy to do that. And I want to finish it at I don't know, 30. So if I want to just do a few seconds of video, and you can play it on click. So when you bring up the slideshow, play it on click. You can play automatically when you just bring that slide up, or you can play it manually. You have to actually go and click to play. So if I want to play it on automatically, I'm going to switch that. If I don't want audio, I can remove the audio. And then these options here are all standard options that we'll be seeing as we go through and select any object. So size and rotation, position, drop shadow, alt text. And I'll explain those in a bit. So the way that this video would work is if I do slideshow. Wow, look at these turtles. And so it's playing from the place where I started, which was I think 214 until something like 230. And it's going to stop automatically for me. There he goes. As the guy went, it stopped. So I'm going to exit this screen. And so as you can see, I had this start automatically. So I'm going to format options here. I had it play automatically. So as soon as I brought up the slide, the video started. Most people, what they like to do is play it on click. So that means when I bring up the slide, the video won't start, and I'll tap or press space bar, and then the video will start. So I have a little bit more control that way. So it's conveniently integrated with Google or YouTube, because YouTube is a Google property. Create shapes, tables, charts. These charts are integrated with Google Sheets. So if I create a chart, I can import a chart from Google Sheets. So actually, why don't I show you how to do that, how that works? Let's create a new slide. It's a blank slide. I actually have some charts in Google Sheets because I had done a presentation on Google Sheets for Work Ready before. And so I happen to have some that I can demonstrate. So if I want to import from Sheets and go to my drive, as you can see, Oleg's fantastic something or other, staff retreat, that's what I want, because this is, Squiggly Co. This is the fake company that I use. So I have a couple of options here, retreat schedule or retreat RSVP. So let's do retreat schedule. Let's do this one because this one has a little pie chart in there too, a little donut chart. So this is, I can import this chart. Select that. It'll link to spreadsheet. That way, if I change a spreadsheet and update it here, then it'll always be updated. There we go. Here's my little donut. So pretty easily imported that. And if I change the chart, there's the link chart here. I can open the source. That's this chart right here, which is based on this thing that we created within Google Sheets. If I change this to no, lots of people can't make it all of a sudden. Samvel's going to be there. No. So as you can see, this changes. And then I'm going to go back here and update. And this has changed too. So it's very so convenient how Google Workspace is all integrated with each other. What you do in Google Sheets changes in Google Slides, changes in Google Docs. Again, insert chart, which is what we just did. Table just brings up a table right here. You can select the size of your table. Oh, you can make really big tables. I don't know how you're going to space. You're going to have to change your slide size to 30 by 30 if you want to do something like this. But you can create tables pretty easily. Shapes also, it's really just as simple as boom, bringing up a shape. And you have all sorts of options to what you want to do with this shape. I'm going to open a new slide just so we have one for fun. You can create diagrams. I really like these kind of things. Diagrams are really neat. And here are the different kind of diagrams that you can create. You can see what they look like. So basic grid, hierarchy chart. If you're working for a company and you didn't make one of these, you don't have to create your own. You don't have to, create all the boxes and stuff. You can use what Google Slides has as an option. There's a different amount of levels depending on how hierarchical your company is or how much you want to display. This also kind of looks like a family tree chart. And you can do whatever color you want. And say I wanted to import one that's really kind of minimalistic here. I do this one, and here it is. And I can, change all these. These are all text boxes that automatically exist here. I can change these. I can change the lines if I wanted to point wherever I want them to point by just clicking on the line, and then these little purple dots, I can just move it. So I want to put it right here. So now this person reports to apparently. All the same, these people feel alienated because they don't report to anybody. So yeah, this is another option to include these different diagrams. And again, you can include all these diagrams and you can edit them however you want. Word art, I don't want to show you this because I don't want to tempt you to use it. Word art is just, if the design is bad, it's not don't do it. So what word art is it creates a fancy kind of lettering. You can create the different letter, different things for it, and make it look different. I don't know what the real benefit is. In Microsoft Office, word art was really fancy. Again, not very attractive. Here, it pretty much just creates a title. Like creates a large title, and you can do pretty much the same thing with it that you would be able to do with any other text. So I think word art is, Google has it just because Microsoft has it, but it's really not that fancy here. And again, you can also create lines. So if you're going to create your own diagrams, here are the different options to create lines. So you can create shapes and then can use the lines to connect. I like the scribble one. It just created a little scribble for you. And you have the same options that you have with word art to do with these scribbles. You can put little things on the end of it. So you see I put a little diamond at the end of it. You can make it you can make it larger, really large, like a snake. And hopefully nobody's afraid of snakes here. You can also make it, now it's a fun snake, and change the colors and everything. Boom. So there's that. So this is now a very strange hierarchical chart. Insert, as you can see, this menu one is fun. This is where all the kind of fun stuff happens. You can insert comments, you can insert new slides, you can insert slide numbers. Format is pretty basic. If you have text, let's go back to this page where we have text. The format is pretty much just adjusting the different text, bold, italic, underline, strike through, superscript to subscript. You can change the size of it. All of this stuff that's also right here on the bar here. So right, all the stuff that ends is just right over here, but it's also under format. Align indent, if you want to, for instance, here, I like these right here. These are convenient. So here I have the text all the way at the top. If I wanted to put it in the middle of the text box, I can go to format, align indent, and put it in the middle. And now, as you can see, it's in the middle of the text box. I'm really getting into the weeds here. I want to ask, are you still with me? Is this okay? Am I getting too detailed, or is this what you're here for? Let me know in the chat, because I don't mind going through these. I really like doing these, like, really, this is an in-depth tour after all, specifically called an in-depth tour because we're going all in. Perfect. Everybody seems to be in it. I just need one person to go, no, I don't want this. And then I was like, well, you can watch the video. You can just fast forward it later. All right. Thank you for the feedback. I'm gonna continue. So back to format. So this is not as useful as it would be in Google Docs, but if you want to create a little bit more space between your paragraphs. So let me just show you. I'm going to create a new slide, and I'm going to right click. So you get various options here, change background, layout. I actually just want to create a new insert guides. I just want to create a text box. So I go to insert text box. I'm going to make a big one. And what I'm going to do is I just want a paragraph here. So let's see. I want, what's a good book, or what's something that I can, let's get some, like, usatoday.com. I want to copy a piece of a news article. Nothing controversial. Geez, do we have any? Let's have some news that's not political news. Oh, reading the news. That's why I never go here. All right, community college over Ivy League. Why not? As a former community college student, I am in support of community colleges, and I will post whatever paragraph I just copied, bring it here. What I want to do is I want to remove the format from it. So I'm going to click the little dots here, and you get more options here. So this is a lot of these options that I've been showing you in format. So here are the ones that are right here, like these text and everything. That's all this, and all of this stuff right here, align indent, paragraph spacing, is all behind these three dots. It's like a vertical skewer. And so here's the alignment. So what I just showed you was the alignment, but you could also align it like this, to the right, in the middle, or justified. So let's leave it justified. And I really want to clear formatting. So I'm going to do that. And so I just cleared all the formatting from it. I just want it to be the way I want it to be. Remove all the random spacing. Let's make it Montserrat. And again, I want it to be justified. I also would really like to remove the links. These links are kind of bothering me. So I'm going to click on each of them and remove link. Click on that, remove link, click on that, remove link. So here's my paragraph. So what I wanted to show you was the spacing. So here's my paragraph. I'm just going to select this text box so it messes with the whole thing. Not just if I did it like this, it would only mess with this paragraph. But I want the whole thing. So I can either do like this, like the whole thing, or I could just select the text box itself. When I click on the outside of it, then the cursor disappears. And I'm going to go to line spacing. and say I want it to be just a little, give it a little bit of room, just some little breathing room here. Okay, so you can see it create a little bit of breathing room between the lines. I want more breathing room. That's not enough. More breathing room. So anybody who's been in school more or less recently, you remember double spacing. So I think I 1.5 spaced it, but I'm going to double space it. That's going to be too much. So this is not good presentation etiquette. So we usually don't want to have this much text on our slides, because when we bring up a slide, people are going to start reading this, and then they're not going to be paying attention to what you're saying. And we don't want that. So if we're going to put this much text, we're going to want to, bold some parts of it so that, there's a reason. Also, the other thing is that if you're presenting this on a large screen, this font is going to be like this big, and just a lot of people are going to be sitting in the back or even in the front, like me, because I wear contact lenses now, but usually I wear glasses. I'll be like, what does that say? I will not be able to read it. So the font on this is 14. I recommend when you're doing presentations that are meant to be presented to a group of people to not make it any less than 18. So I'm going to select this box. Let's make it 18. It should look like that. Because if you do it like this, then generally people are going to be able to, even if they're in the back of the room, they'll be able to read it. This should be the smallest text that you have on your presentation. Now, many times these days with virtual presentations, or if you're just sharing this presentation with people, from screen to screen, not even on Zoom, then it matters less. People can always zoom in on within their computer. So when you're watching this on Zoom, you can zoom in. You should be able to, at least. You should be able to zoom in to my screen. And so then it matters less, but still, I'm old school. I try not to make my presentations have fonts any less than 18, just because I don't know how people are going to be looking at it. Everybody has different vision. And if it's 18 and up, then that's going to be okay. It also prevents me from putting too much text on the slide. So this is what's affectionately, or maybe not affectionately, known as a wall of text. This is not what we don't want in a presentation, but we can always give it more breathing room now. Custom spacing. So you can do 2.2. Get a little bit more room. There we go. All right. Moving forward, so we've got the line paragraph spacing, add space before after paragraph. So again, if you have multiple paragraphs, you can add space before after. I don't think that you should be having multiple paragraphs in your PowerPoint presentation, or your PowerPoint in your slides presentation. So you should never have to use this. Bullets and numbering is fun. You can have different options for bullet lists. As I mentioned in this slide here, we've got stars, because this is from a presentation that's a state of the company. But say I want to change the stars to something else. I have options. I can do it here in bullets and numbering, bulleted list, and I have these options. So if I want it to all be like, I don't know, arrows, there's arrows. If I wanted to put a sub thing, a sub point, what all I did was I went up here, I pressed enter to go to the next line, and then I pressed tab, and that moved me over, and it changed the type of bullet, and you can see the different types of bullets here. So I have this one selected. So the next one becomes a diamond, and the one after that becomes a circle. And here you have different options. So as far as I know, within Google Slides, you don't have the option of putting in custom bullet points. I believe I don't know if with PowerPoint, but I suspect in PowerPoint you could actually do custom bullets. It's really something that only hardcore designers would be even thinking about. I have never, I may have put custom bullets in at some point, but I'm not a hardcore designer, so I think I've only done it once. I feel like the options that you're given are actually pretty decent. I like the stars. I'm going to leave those. Okay, so we're moving into format. So bullets and numbering, again, you can create a numbered list, make it a numbered list as well. So it's fine too. It just easily switches to a numbered list. And then table, if you have a table, you can make some change the format on your table. For your image, I clicked on the image. So before it was, when I clicked here, it's all bolded out. I have nothing clicked, so it doesn't know what to format. There's various options for different types of items here. So, but if I click here on this image and I click format image, and I can crop image, I can replace the image, or I can reset the image. There's also format options right here. And these are the ones that I was talking about earlier. These exist for pretty much every type of item that exists within Google Slides. So I can change the size of rotation of it. So I can rotate it easily, rotate it like this. I can flip it upside down. Change the angle here, same thing as this little circle. I can make it, I can make it bigger. Basically, I think it's easier to just do like this. So I change the size of it. But you can also, if you want to mess with the numbers, you can also change it here, and you can scale it up or down by percentage. The position of it is where it is on the window. If I move this, as you can see, it changed from, this is from the top left, is how many inches it is. If I do it from the center, then it adjusts from the center. Oh, these are the amount of inches it is from the center. Again, I feel like moving it like this is easier, but if you're very specific about where you want things to be, then this is the way to do it. Recolor, I find this not very useful because these options are not very attractive. I don't really know why anybody would do this. If I wanted to make it, I don't know, black and white here, or shaded with red. These are all design choices. I need none of these design choices. I rarely use recolor. I find it not useful. But this is sometimes useful. Opacity makes it so that if you put it behind something, the other stuff will show up in front of it easier because it makes it see-through. So right now it's over that, so it's on top of that text. But if I increase or decrease the opacity, then it's becomes see-through. So it's like transparency. Back over here, brightness, self-explanatory. Again, really easy to mess up an image using this. I pretty rarely do this unless something is very dark. And contrast, similar kind of feature. Let's reset this. So you make a few adjustments. Drop shadow. So presentation tip, always do either a border or a drop shadow on images. Without the drop shadow, this image looks plain, it looks flat, and it just seems lifeless. If I had the drop shadow, it gives a little oomph. It kind of stands out a bit. And this is a really simple drop shadow. You can also adjust the kind of drop shadow you have. So you can change the angle, you can change the distance, really big drop shadow. Blur radius, again, comes out here. No, none of that. And you change the color of the shadow too. It's a yellow shadow. You can see it back here. The other option would be to put a border around the image. And borders I like much better. I mean, I like drop shadows better, but you can also do borders. So you can do the size of the border, the color of the border, red. So you can see it makes it stand out a little bit with a white background. So now I have a drop shadow and a border, and it looks kind of weird because it's yellow coming out here and a little red over here. But if you have a better eye than I do, then I recommend using borders or drop shadows to make your images stand out. And just do the same thing with all of the images in your presentation, because you don't want, unless you have some special reason, I recommend not doing different colors or different treatments for your images. Okay, so then moving on, we've got format. So I just kind of got into the image format, borders and lines. Similar, you can change the border color, border weight, border type. Whereas I did a little bit of that already. Ooh, I didn't realize you could do this. Now this is really nice. You can make different angles, different types of angles for the size of your images. I really want my images to be rounded, round joint. Ooh, do I even have, so I do have a small border. I'm gonna make a bigger border so we can see it. As you can see right here, it's rounded. I'm gonna change this. I shouldn't be getting excited about this. This is kind of silly, but I think it's kind of cool. Let's see, square, no, round cap. It's rounded, this is just an image. Let's try this. Let's try one more, and then we'll move on, I promise. Let's do miter. So now it's like, now just a standard square. Neat. So you have design options. And then of course you can also clear formatting. This is mostly for text. Clear formatting. Drop shadow. So we just saw the drop shadow. I'm going to remove the drop shadow because we have this big border. And then reflection. Reflection is not that useful, but kind of fun. So you can see a reflection of the image. It's another design feature. You can make it kind of see-through, so it's not as, doesn't come up as much distance away from the image, and then the size of your shadow, it could be like the whole thing. So now we have two of these, and for some reason this could be useful. I'm not sure. I don't have an idea right now for why the reflection thing would be useful. It's just a design feature. And then alt text, if somebody is hard of seeing, this is useful for them to be able to interact with images in the presentation. So if you so choose, you can put the alternate text, and their screen reader will be able to see. This is a schedule book with today written in big letters. And then the screen reader would read that to people. So it would read this text, and it would also read what this image says. There's also advanced features. You can add a title to your image. If you're publishing it to the web, most of us don't need to do that. So that's the format. Slide, we've already seen a lot of these things actually. So new slide, I've been making new slides this whole time. Duplicate slide just creates a copy. Delete slide, delete. Now it's gone. I'm going to redo that or undo that. Now it's back. Change background. So this is just a specific image. So if I wanted to put a background image for my things, I can actually search the web for background images. I feel like this is a risk because there's a variety of images, and if you choose, oh, there's some nice turtles here. Let's do this one. So let me show you what the risk is of doing that. So you can see right here. So I put this background on this image, and you can't see the text anymore. So this background wasn't designed, this image wasn't designed as a background for a presentation. And so a way to get around that, though, is to do something like this. Let's remove this. I'm gonna go to undo. And now I'm going to, so here's what I did. So I can show you in this presentation here. Here's an image. So I got this image from the web. I put it back here. I just put it on, I made it as large as almost the whole slide. And then I increased the opacity on it and put it in the background. And now I have an image back there that you can see that adds to the design quality of the presentation. And I put text in front of it, and the text is very easy to read. The image is easy to see, and everybody's happy. Otherwise, you put images back there, and they stand out a lot, and you'd have to put highlight your text, put drop shadows on your text, and do all sorts of other things. Again, it's not prohibited to put images back there, but you want to be mindful about it. Somebody mentioned, Dolly mentioned in the chat, use reflection with nature. Yeah, when you have a natural image, then you can put it like a little pond or something. You can put a little reflection, just a small one, so that your presentation looks peaceful. Moving forward. Skip slide. Oh, that's if you don't want to delete a slide, if you just want the public not to be able to see it, you can put skip slide, and then it'll just shuffle over that one. So nobody will be able to see that but you during your actual presentation. change background, we just did. Apply layout. So these are the different layouts that we have for this presentation. And of course, this with themes, you can change this. We can edit theme. You can change these different layouts to be whatever you want. Transitions we're going to cover. That's going from slide to slide. You can make it look different when you go. So right now, when you go from slide to slide, it just goes to the next slide. It removes one. It removes one and goes to the other. And there's no graphical change other than slide. The transition allows you to create a different transition. So I'll show you in a little bit. Edit theme. Once again, we saw that already. You can edit these different parts of the theme, and all of these things are clickable. And this, if you click it here, it just edits this specific layout. This is one out of all of these. This is the master slide. This is the master theme. So if you change it this here, then this will actually change all of the top level headings. And same thing here. This is the title heading. This is the first level, second level, third level, etc., etc. And it'll change all of these for you on all of your slides. You can also rename, if you're creating your own theme, you can rename it. You can put a different background on. So if you want to create a background for all of the slides, you can change the background. So this is, you can essentially edit any theme that already exists and make it your own, and then use it for future presentations. If I want to change theme, it's as easy as going to slide change theme and selecting a different one. This one looks futuristic. So you can see it changed all of the different fonts. It changed the background. And there's different ones. I remember using, I once did a presentation on public speaking, and I used, I think this one. The thing about using these, even though they're nice, other people can use them. So I've seen other people use it, and I go, wait, that's no, it just belongs to Google. That's not actually my theme. So even though these are nice, know that if you're going to use them, that other people will probably use them too. And so your presentation won't be totally unique as far as the aesthetics go. If you're a non-designer like me, though, I wouldn't worry about it. That's change theme. And then arrange. We've done some of this already. So order. So every item that's on a page, everything you can select is actually laid out there within a certain order. So some things are on top of other things. So I think this is on top. And this is, let's see which one is higher. So it's this one's on top. This one's next. The text here, this list is next, and this is all the way in the bottom. So here's what we can do though. So right now it's 1, 2, 3. What we can do is bring this to the top and put it over everything else. Order. So I had selected this, and I'm going to click where these layers. I'm going to just select that so the cursor disappears. I just like this, and that's this way I can change anything I want, and it'll change this whole inside here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Arrange, Order, and Bring, so I can bring forward, which brings me above 1, but I want to bring all the way to the front. Then I got to bring to front, and now it's this is number 1, 1, 2, 3. So most of the time we don't have that much stuff on the screen, so we don't really have to mess with this. But if we're putting text above images, for instance, like text over image, so if I want this over this image, I want this numbered list over this image, then I'm going to have to change, I'm going to bring it forward. Arrange, Order, Bring Forward. And now the order of items is 1, 2, 3. And this is now in the back. Slightly abstract, but also useful to know if you're creating presentations with a lot of different stuff on it and you're going to need to adjust. Okay. Order, align, same thing if you want to align to various items on the screen, if you want to distribute them in different ways. Let me see if this is, let me see if it gives me, it doesn't give, these are probably for charts and things. Center on page. And if you don't want to look for those guides, it'll center for you automatically. There we go. I don't actually need that though. You also see that when I move this stuff around, it'll center it for me. It'll also center it for me so I can center this with this image. So it knows that we want to do that sometimes. So that you see that red line that goes from the image to the text box right through the center. So that lets me center the text box with the image. But if I move it a little bit around, it'll center for me on the whole page. So now it's centered on the whole page, on the whole slide there. And then group or ungroup. If we want to move items together or change something about items together, we can select multiple items. So we can do that in a few ways. One, we can highlight everything and then hit arrange. And oh, I want to group it? Why doesn't it want me to group it? That's odd. So I select this and I hit shift and select this. Well, now that's weird. It should maybe it only groups items of a type. So if I select the table of contents and these are both text boxes and this is an image. So maybe it'll let me select. No, that's really weird. I don't know why it doesn't let me group it. Tools. Well, that's odd. We just experienced something that I'd never seen before. I don't know why it wouldn't let us group it. So usually this would, when you arrange, this group would become black and we'd be able to group these items together and then we can move them all together. And then we can change, if the text box, we can change their features all together. But for some reason, it doesn't let me do that now. I'm going to have to explore that. So either way, if I select all the items, I can just move them all together. And I don't really need to group it formally. Yeah, it doesn't let me do it. Anyway, moving to, so that's arrange, group on group. So maybe you'll be able to do it on your Google Slides. I don't know why I can't do it on mine. And then tools, we got like spelling, spell check, explore lets you search the web, linked objects, or if you have a chart in another sheet, in a Google Sheet, and you have that chart also here, it'll tell you all of the, if you have many of those kind of things, it'll tell you all the linked objects that you have in your presentation. So right now we only have one. That's on this slide here. And that's, it'll just tell us that exists, and here are the options for it. Open source, unlinked, and then linked objects will just bring up this thing here, which is already up. And if we want to refresh all of them at once, instead of going through each slide and doing, when this changes, little update link, instead of having to update all of them at once, we can just do it all here. Right now, we haven't made any changes, so nothing happened. Dictionary, we all know what a dictionary is if we need to look up a word. Q&A history is if somebody put questions in while you were doing this presentation, you can check your Q&A history. You can voice type speaker notes. I've tried to do this. For some reason, my browser doesn't connect with my microphone properly, but if yours does, then you can chat your speaker. You can do your presentation like as a rehearsal, and then you can just put it in there. Notification setting, preferences, accessibility. So these are all various options that you have. Extensions beyond the scope of this presentation, but many people create various apps for Google Slides, and you can get add-ons, or if you want to learn the Google scripting language, you can go to Apps Scripts. And of course, you can get help for Google Slides and other Google Drives through the help here. And the help is pretty good. They have stuff about almost everything. And so that's what this top part here is. And what you see here in this toolbar is pretty much everything that we've looked at. So here we can search the menus. So instead of having to go through all of these, we can just do align, like a snap to grid, find and document. So if we need to justify, let's find and replace. So in case you don't know where things are, you can search for them here. This is adding a new slide, undo, redo, print, zoom, the size of your zoom. There's your select button. Here's creating a new text box, new image, and creating a new shape, create a squiggle or any other item like this. Adding a comment, changing the background, which is what we did when we created image. Layout is when we create a new slide or change a slide that already exists, we can change the layout of it. theme we've been through. This is all we can wait. This is where we change a theme, and then transition is what we're going to get into in a moment. When we click on any item, we also get format options, which we've also looked through already. So every item that you can select has these various options. Of course, a text box doesn't so much have or doesn't need a recolor. And so when we click a text box, there's no recolor because nothing happens, but you can put a drop shadow and that'll put the drop shadow on the text, which is sometimes convenient if you're putting it over an image. It'll let you see the text better. There's also reflection. You can see it down here. Again, I don't know why anybody would use that, but it's there. Exit that. And so theme we looked at. So if you click on any item, then it'll bring up same thing, font, size, bold, italics, underline, the text color, text highlighting. It's kind of pretty actually with the drop shadow. So then it changed the drop shadow from the letters themselves to the highlight. And we went in here and all the various options, and we'll go through animate in the next section here. Okay, it's already almost 12:30. I'm here for you. So I'm going to show you a few other things and then we'll get to questions. So if you have questions, you can go ahead and put them in the Q&A box. Don't put them in the chat because it's easy for me to miss them in the chat. Put them in the Q&A box. That's one of the two little speech bubbles. So when I see questions in the Q&A, I'll be able to go through them in order. So I see people have already been putting questions in there, and that's great. So let's now go to our special presentation, Squiggly Co. State of the company. So I've already showed you how to create the opacity on this image. That's simply format options and adjustments. So originally the image looked like this, which you can barely see what's written over it. But when I lowered opacity, it made it at 21 before. It put it, now it's nothing. I put it neatly in the background so you can still see the image. Here I created a custom theme. So if I want to change my theme, edit theme. So what I simply did here was I created some bubbles. The color of Squiggly Co is bright green. This is the logo. This is just literally a squiggle that I created and put a little drop shadow on. So I put it down here. And these are just circles. I changed the top level font. I changed the font for all of these at the same time. Like highlighting this box and just changing this to like Montserrat here. Let me just quickly change it to Montserrat. I want to maybe make it slightly bolder. There we go. And what I did was when I created this, I applied this to this is just applied to all the slides. And so these little decorations were applied to all that. So you can see that they're all, so each slide has this. So you can see it comes up past the slide. And I did that on purpose because when you go to the slideshow, you don't see the whole circle. And I kind of like that. I can like that it's kind of off the screen. But let's say I don't like one of these circles, like this one down here, it just doesn't look right. And I want to remove it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to edit theme, select this little circle. So I have to be in the top one. And just delete. Now it's gone. I'm going to rename this theme to Squiggly Co. brand. I think I misspelled Squiggly Co. No, I didn't. I don't even know how to spell my own company's name or my own fake company. Okay, so now this little circle's gone. It's gone from all the slides, and I think it looks better. So what we didn't cover before up till now is the speaker notes. Speaker notes are useful for a variety of things. If, for some presentations, you don't need notes at all. Some presentations you do. And there are different kind of notes that you can include. So you can include literally what you're going to say, which an example of that is here. So I just typed out the script. You can include just like build up employee of the year award. So while we're going through this, just some notes for you to remember. If there's statistics that you want to bring up, I recommend including them in the speaker notes. That way you don't have to remember those random numbers. Or you can just leave them blank. So let's go through some of those transitions and motion. So you can see these little circles, concentric circles on the side here. And that is because there's a transition that happens here. So I'm going to bring up the presentation. I'm going to show you what this looks like. So here, when the slide comes up, there's nothing. When I press spacebar, it brings up this. So if I want to time how I deliver this presentation, so here's, and then we're going to talk about what's coming up. But first, the mission of our company. Our mission is so important, and we've just changed it. And I want to unveil our new mission. Here's our new mission statement. Surprise. Let's move on from our mission statement to achievements. And here you see nothing on the screen because I want to have a little bit of suspense. I want to build up each achievement. Squiggly Co. has increased sales of widgets by 27%. Increased sales of thingamajigs by 31%. We did that by expanding into Sweden and Estonia with the help of new staff. And because we got these new staff and we're able to do all of these things and be so successful this year, everyone gets a 10% salary increase. And this fades out. And then we've got this picture that fades in and it spins. Everybody's applauding at this point. So these were all examples of transition and motion. And let me show you what it looks like in the back end. So every item that you have can get a transition or a animation. So what we've done here is let's go to transition. And you can see the slide transitions and slide animation and object animations. Slide transition is what you get when you switch from slide to slide. And I'll show you that in a moment. It's pretty neat. If you have animations, that's for each individual item. So all that we have here is that this item appears. So while you can see it here, when I actually go to the slide, as you saw earlier, it was just blank. And I have it as an object animation. There's various types of animations. You can make it appear, disappear, fade in, fade out, fly in from left, zoom in, spin, etc. I had that image spin earlier. So you can select the kind of animation that you have and then when it happens. So after previous, so if you have multiple animations, you can have them all go together, or you can just do them on click. So when I click with the mouse or with the space bar, that's when it happens. You can also do by paragraph, which I did later on. So here, all it did was when I brought up the slide, it was blank. I clicked and this appeared. Here, I wanted to build up the achievements and I didn't want you to see all of them at once. So what I did was something very similar. So for the animation, I did fly in from left. So that you saw they all came in. And so it fly in from on click. So every time I clicked, it did that. I knew by the pace of my speaking that I was going to say increase the sales vision of 27%, click, increase sale, and then I came in, increase sales thingamajigs. As I said it, it flew in. And then I wanted to leave in, I wanted to save this one, and then because of all that, I want to leave some time. And then I said, click, everyone gets an increase, boom, big deal. And then this all faded out, and then this fade out on click. So this all faded out, and I switched to the next slide. So because the title of this, there's actually two separate slides, because the title of the slide is the same, it looked like it was the same slide. I could have actually put this image on this slide also, But for me, having the two slides is just a little simpler to keep, so there's not too many animations in one slide, and to keep it separate. So for me, it's just one extra tap. I tapped that. This came up. You didn't see this, and then it appeared and spin on click. So when I clicked, it spun. So I can see, and then I do click, and it spins. So it lets you preview your animation. And these are object animations. So again, every item that you have on your slide, you can add an animation to it. Now, I will say, don't do it. Don't do object animations, unless you have a really, really good reason to, because they're distracting. They tend to just not add anything to most presentations. I never use object animations for my presentations unless I have something like this, where I really want to create some kind of effect. But if I'm just delivering a presentation, I don't like to do those things. They distract from me. They distract from what I'm saying. People get things fly around the screen. They're also not, most of them are not that pretty. So now, after this section of the presentation, I want to show you what slide transitions look like, and that's what these are right here. So here, in this part of the presentation, the Boogie Adams, the CEO of Squiggly Co, is thanking all the different departments. So let's go to slideshow. So he says, thank you, R&D. Thank you, marketing. Thank you, operations. Thank you, HR. And as you saw just now, when I switched from slide to slide, it did a little turny thing. So it looks like it's part of one cube. And that's an example of a slide transition. Let's go to transitions. So this is the motion tabs. Underneath motion, there's slide transitions and object animations. So there's various options for slide transitions. That's what happens when you go from slide to slide. You can change the speed of it, and you can apply it to all slides. So similarly, I don't recommend doing this because it's distracting unless you have a really neat reason to. So there's various options for slide transitions. You can dissolve one slide into the other. You can fade one slide out and fade a slide in. Slide can come in from the right. So let's do like a dissolve. Let me show you what that looks like. And I want to do play. So there we go. So it dissolved from one slide. So it was this slide here. No, stop. And then it dissolved into this one here. It can create some neat effects if you have images behind each other and stuff like that. But again, you want to be really cognizant that you're creating some distraction when you're doing this. And that's motion. And that's pretty much the main part of what I wanted to talk about. We've just covered pretty much all the options that you have within Google Slides. Let me see what this one looks like. I had something on here. So we've got looking into the future, and then that's all. Or maybe, let me see what we have here. I see. So it faded in to this slide, faded that one out. Okay. So that's pretty much, that's what we've got as far as Google Slides go. So now let me go to your questions. If you have questions, put them in. And I thank you all for sticking around this long. It's almost, it's almost been an hour and 40 minutes. So let me see if I can answer your questions quickly and get you out of here maybe before 1 o'clock. There's somebody had a question about working with PowerPoint files. And somebody had asked about that earlier, and the answer is yes, you can work with PowerPoint. You can import PowerPoint files within Google Slides. Now I mentioned that, there's slide transitions, animations. Sometimes those won't be exactly the same because the animations and transitions on PowerPoint are slightly different than the ones on Google Slides. But for the most part, you'll get the basics of the presentation. You can easily adjust it to be similar. Would love to know how to use Google Slides on a laptop when laptop is plugged into HDMI and presenting on a separate screen. So this is HDMI cables make this really, really easy. If you plug the HDMI cable into the projector, you should be able to just bring up, it'll by default usually mirror your screen. And so what you can do is you can just do what I literally did. I can hit slideshow. When I hit slideshow, it just mirrored my screen and brought up the presentation on my screen as full screen as well. If you want to do your notes, this you'll probably want to test because different settings sometimes are different in different projectors if you want to do presenter view. But usually, even if you're mirroring the screen, it will do presenter view will only show up on your screen and not on the projector screen. So that should work, but I recommend testing that. Can I create a clickable Google Slides presentation where I can click on something on one side and it goes down to a particular slide down further? That's a great question. I don't know. Actually, I'm not really sure if you can create links to different presentation, to different slides. I wonder if when we share it, if we can share it to a specific slide, because that's what I'm thinking is you can maybe share to a specific slide and just do that within your presentation, but I don't think that's actually an option. So I suspect that it's not. I'm going to do a quick search. Linking slide to slide in Google Slides or slides. So it gave us a link to Google Docs editors help. This is good. Let me see. Embed, so we can embed charts and tables. Link a chart. Oh, so this looks like it mostly just links this is most of our charts. So I suspect that you can't link it to specific slides, unfortunately. I think it's pretty much what you have. I haven't seen that option, but if you find it, if you do a little more research and you find it, you let me know because that would make it kind of interesting. 15 gigabytes is not much storage. I suppose we must use another drive for storage. No, 15 gigabytes is pretty good if you're just making presentations like this without a lot of images, without a ton of really big images, like really high resolution images or videos, then 15 gigabytes can last you a pretty long time. If not for my Google Photos account, for my personal account, I've been using my Gmail account, my personal Gmail account for 10, 15 years. I would not be anywhere near 15 gigabytes if not for my Google Photos, which has a lot of photos and has a lot of videos. That's really where all the space is taken up. But if you're just using like Google Docs, Google Slides, Google Sheets, and email where you don't have a lot of videos, then 15 gigabytes is a lot. You could also pay Google One, which is its paid service, expands your storage space to 100 gigabytes. And I think it's like $1 or $2 a month. So it depends on how much you need it. If you want to use the Google stuff and you're running it low on space, it might be worth that extra few dollars, or you can just create another Google account. And if you create another account, you get another 15 gigabytes. And of course, it's all free. How do you change a photo before pasting? So if you want to change a photo before pasting, then you'd have to do that in a separate program. So there are a variety of photo editing programs out there. We've actually done a presentation about intro to photo editing, and Lawrence, who has done the presentation, he uses Pixlr, which is a browser-based editing software, and I can show it to you right now. I can put a link in the chat as well. I think it's like this, pixlr.com, and it's also free and it's quite good. Let me put this in the chat for everybody. Now, Pixlr it does have a paid version, but the free version is pretty good too. And some computers have photo editing software like Microsoft Paint and stuff like that. Microsoft Photo Editor, this kind of thing also. So there's a fair amount of ways to do it. Same thing with phones. There's photo editing on phones. To save on another drive, will the entire file save or one slide only? The entire file will save. So if you want to download, if you want to go to File and Download, this will save the entire, if you're doing it like as a PowerPoint file, if you want to export as a PowerPoint file or PDF, it'll save the whole presentation for you. If you do it as an image, that'll just do individual slides. Does Google Slides also work to convert to Keynote? It doesn't directly convert to Keynote. I suspect Keynote will take PowerPoint presentations, but I'm not really sure because I have never used Keynote. So I would find it odd if it didn't take PowerPoint presentations, if it wasn't able to import them. So you can always export as a PowerPoint and then bring it into import into Keynote. What does the meeting use? Zoom? Yes, this is Zoom. What does this meeting use? Google Hangouts or Google Meet, I forget what it's called. They changed their name. Uses Google's synchronous communication program. So I think it's either Google Meet or Google Hangouts. So share on another screen is what I'd use if I were doing an in-person presentation with a projector or video. Yes, unless if you wanted to share it wirelessly. If you were connected via an HDMI cable, which is probably the most popular cable now for connecting computers and projectors, then you wouldn't need to you just do slideshow. The screen would usually mirror when you as soon as you plug them in, and then you just hit slideshow and it would just show up on the projector. If you wanted to do through like Google Chromecast or something, then you would present another screen similar to connecting your TV with your phone. When you make a copy, do you have to rename it to identify it? It'll automatically copy. So if you do file and make a copy, so entire presentation, it'll automatically ask you what you want to name it. So by default, it's just copy of Squiggly Co. State of the Company. You can change this to whatever you want. And if you want to share it with the same people, you can share it with the same people, copy comments, remove speaker notes, etc. Can you insert audio? Yes, you can. So insert and audio. And here you would have to select, you have to put your file into Google Drive, first upload it to Google Drive. So if it's like MP3 file or something, you upload it to Google Drive, and then you should be able to insert it into your presentation. And probably it will be the same. It can start playing when you bring up the slide or start playing on a click or after something loads, like after one of your text box loads or something. Can I insert a YouTube video or do I have to download it to my computer to insert? This was probably before I inserted the YouTube video. You can insert a YouTube video. Absolutely. That's what I did with the turtles. Will YouTube videos play in a presentation environment if your computer is not connected to the internet? It might. For that, you would have to do this cloud. You have to do the cloud and turn on for offline use. And I would recommend testing that well before you have to do the presentation. So yeah, it might not. I don't know exactly how it takes it, if it embeds it and kind of brings it into your Google Drive, or if it plays it directly from YouTube, it brings it in every time. I would test it out first. If I had too many videos or pics, will it slow down the slideshow when I try opening it? If the internet connection is slow, then it might, it probably will. If it's a standard internet connection, then unless you had like video over video over video or video on a single slide, it probably won't make too big of a difference. For pictures, it's unlikely to make a big difference unless the pictures are very, very high resolution. Unless they're very sort of resource intensive images, then you can put a lot of images. And if they're like images that are small, like this one here, you can probably put 25 of this image on a slide and it probably won't make any difference. If you export that file though, it'll be a very large file. So if you want to export it and send it to other people as just a regular PowerPoint file, then yeah, that file might be pretty large. But if you're going to share it within the browser, then you don't have to worry about it. When you import themes, does that mean we can import PowerPoint themes or slides, Carnival themes, right? Any other sites you can suggest for more free theme ideas? I don't know if you can you import themes? I'm going to look. I don't know if you can you can import themes. There might be, So I don't know exactly what, I think they have to be, the themes have to be made within Google Slides by somebody else. There may be themes available for free online or for paid online. I'm just going to do a quick search. Free Google Slides themes. No, Slides Carnival. Yeah, you can probably download some of these and then you can just import them to your Google Drive and and import them to your presentation. So if you're not a designer, um, then I recommend looking for good themes, or just being very simple and just using just a white background. All right, let me get back to the questions. Thanks, Eric. I see that you also posted in the chat that you've done it. Yeah, Slides Carnival was one of the things that came up. So if you want to use Slides Carnival, you can go to Slides Carnival and get themes for your presentation. Can slide be used to run a loop presentation like an office waiting room in another room? How do I link from computer to TV? So the answer is yes. I believe you can have the slides just running continuously. You could probably put some kind of timer on it. And then linking from computer to TV is the way that you would, it's this thing here. So your TV would have to be a smart TV. And then it would recognize your computer, your phone would recognize it. And then you would hit present on another screen. And it would be there. So you'd have to have like Bluetooth or something, or it'd have to be connected on the same Wi-Fi network. And then you present on another screen and you just be able to bring it up. All right, let me see what other questions we have. Can you color letters or color behind letters? Yeah, you can change the colors. You can definitely change the colors of the font. So if you select either the text box or the specific text that you want to change, you use so let me move this out of the way. So because let me actually just get rid of this import theme thing so we can see more. Okay, so here's this, and then here is text color. So it's a little letter with the color underneath, and we can change this to whatever color we want. I happen to like purple, and there it goes. And if you want to change behind letters, that's the one right next to it, so it's a little highlighter. And if we want to change it to something really hard to see, there we go. Oh, it's like Laker colors. Go Lakers. Can you show how to move files to different areas? Yeah. So there's a few ways. So you can do it from here. So, file move. So it's already staff retreat. If we want to move it out of staff retreat, then I just click the back button. So this is just the My Drive. I go to move here, and now it just moved. Or if you're here, I can just as easily highlight the file and move it back to staff retreat. You can do it even if the file is open. Same thing with here. Always fantastical document. I can move it to personal finance, and it's just like moving files on your computer, but within the browser. All right. I don't see any other questions in the Q&A. If you do have questions, now is the time to put them in. I'm still here, and I'll stick with you until we're done with the questions. And before I leave, before we end the program, I do want to ask you if you wouldn't mind filling out the post-event survey. I always appreciate the minute or two you spend on filling out that survey and giving us feedback about this presentation, and also more importantly, what you'd like us to cover in the future. When we create the work-ready presentations, we use your suggestions to figure out future topics. So by all means, please fill out the survey and let us know what you thought. Honest opinions appreciated. So I don't see any more questions. I don't see any comments in the chat. And so I thank you. Oh, wait, hang on. 2 more questions. What do I need to do on the TV to get the presentation? Is it like pairing? Yes, it's exactly like pairing. It really depends on the specific TV. So I couldn't give you step-by-step instructions, but yeah, it's like pairing. It's like if you were sharing your laptop to the screen or your phone, connecting your phone to the TV, it would be kind of a similar process. Moving the file, I did not see the file size change. Did they move? They did move. Yes, the files moved, but the file size didn't change. So what I did was I moved it all within Google Drive. So the file sizes stay the same no matter where I move it within Google Drive. So the total file. So if I want to move it out, if I want to export it onto my computer, it would still stay on Google Drive. I would have to just delete it if I deleted it from. So for example, if I wanted to, so these files don't take up very much space. So let me just do, I'm going to staff retreat. Let me make a copy. Let me see which one's the 9.5 megabytes. Perfect. So right now it's 10 points. This is what takes up most of the space in this on this drive. So if I want to make a copy of this, it's going to automatically make it. So here it is. So now I'm going to reload this screen and it should be 19.5. Now see 20.4. And then if I delete this, move to trash. Let's see if it takes it away right away. No, so I may have to empty it from the trash. There we go. And then I have these two pieces of trash here. And if I delete it from here, delete forever. Now it should remove that. So now 10.9. I hope that makes it a little bit more clear. All right, last call on questions. If you move file to the computer and delete from Google Drive, will it stay on the computer? Yes. If you download the file to your computer, like to your desktop, and delete it from Google Drive, it doesn't affect it on the computer, all totally separate. Once it's on your computer, Google Drive has no control over it. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining me for this in-depth tour of Google Slides. I enjoyed puttering on slides and enjoyed your participation and your questions. And hopefully you can join us next week for the Art of Mindful Decision Making. And I'll see you then.